Should you cut down or bulk up first when you start your fitness journey and feel like you are skinny fat? What if I told you that both options are not needed and there is a middle ground? You do not have to lose or gain weight to make great fitness progress in the beginning. You see, in the beginning stages of your fitness process, there is something known as newbie gains. Consistently, we see in the literature that beginner trainees can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. In one study on untrained police officers, the participants lost 9.3 pounds of fat and gained 8.8 pounds of lean body mass in 8 weeks. Basically, they didn't cut or bulk, their weight stayed mostly the same. But as you can imagine, if you lose 9.3 pounds of body fat and gain 8.8 pounds of lean body mass, your physique will look quite different. I have also experienced this phenomenon with some of my online coaching clients, like Nabil, in which we have been able to lose fat while building muscle over a 6-month process. So, instead of telling you to cut down or bulk up, in today's video I will actually teach you how you can go about a body recomposition phase, in which you are able to build muscle while steadily losing fat. But make sure you stick to the end of the video because I will also discuss some scenarios in which cutting down or bulking up first can be helpful. Now, first of all, I know how you feel like if you consider yourself currently to be skinny fat. You do not have a good amount of muscle mass yet, but you still have stubborn fat that you would like to get rid of. So you find yourself in this odd space in which you want to grow your muscles but also feel like you need to burn fat. In this situation, if you go hard on the cut, it will leave you looking skinny, which is not desired. While if you go hard on the bulk, you will also gain more stubborn fat, which can be discouraging throughout that bulking process. So the best option for most people is to go for the patient approach in which you steadily lose fat while steadily building muscle. When you are in the bulk, you may feel like you're getting big quickly, even though a portion of it is body fat. And when you cut, you can see yourself getting smaller, so there is more direct feedback. But I like to compare the cutting and bulking cycle to a traffic jam. If the traffic is stuck, you can get frustrated and constantly switch lanes in the hopes to get ahead. Or you can stay on the lane that moves forward at a reasonable pace and be relaxed about it. Generally speaking, staying on the same reasonable lane will get you to your destination more quickly, as supported by traffic research. Yes, I literally checked traffic research to drive this point home. This also applies to fitness, especially for beginner trainees. Stay on the same lane. Don't go hard with bulking or cutting, but make use of the newbie gains you have now. To have a successful body recomposition and fix being skinny fat, there is a 4-step hierarchy of importance. The first and most important variable is lifting weights. After that, we have consuming enough protein, then comes keeping an eye on your calorie intake, and lastly, we have recovery. Let's dive straight into the first variable, which is having a consistent lifting routine. No matter how you structure your nutrition and recovery, if your muscles are not being stressed and progressively overloaded, muscle growth will not happen. Give your muscles a reason to grow. Since most beginner trainees do not have a ton of training experience, doing 3 to 4 workouts per week will be enough to stimulate muscle growth. As an example, you can follow this 3-day full body program I created and has been used by over 20,000 people so far. We have heavy compound movements for each major muscle group and some isolation work to train the smaller muscles. If you have not been training consistently over the past 3 to 6 months, this routine will help you develop a great foundation of muscle. After lifting weights, the second most important variable is your total daily protein intake. The protein you consume literally functions as building blocks during the muscle growth process. Muscle fibers are made up of the molecule protein, in this case also known as muscle proteins. And these muscle proteins are built up with amino acids. So we need to get all of our essential amino acids through protein-rich food to help us build muscle. This is why the research is very clear on this topic. High-protein diets build more muscle than low to moderate protein diets. From the research, we know that having at least 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight in protein is a good goal. This is around 0.7 grams per pound of your body weight. At the same time, distribute your daily protein intake over 3 to 6 eating moments in a day, because there is emerging research showing that your protein frequency also impacts muscle growth. For most people, you will hit your protein frequency just fine if you have a dominant protein source with each meal. If you prefer having only 2 meals per day, make sure these meals contain some form of protein and have an additional protein snack to reach the minimum of 3 daily protein feedings. Now, after protein, we got calorie intake. If you lift weights 3 to 4 times per week, focus on eating a protein-rich diet, and mostly consume whole foods, you will naturally have your calories under control. This is why I placed calorie intake as the third most important variable, because if you got your training and protein right, calorie intake tends to take care of itself. We see this in the research too. When the participants of a 2016 study were instructed to start lifting weights 3 times per week and consume an elevated protein intake, they were able to build 1 kilogram of muscle and lose 1 kilogram of fat in a month without actively cutting or bulking. Now, of course, we still want to be mindful of calorie intake. but automatically your calorie intake will be under control if you have 3 to 4 main meals in a day that are all protein rich. If you prefer tracking calories to be able to fit snacks into your nutrition here and there while staying on track with the body recomposition, aim to eat slightly below your maintenance calories by maintaining a 10% calorie deficit. So if your body expends an average of 2,500 calories per day, aim for 2,250 calories per day in a body recomposition. Having a small calorie deficit will create the need for fat loss, but you still consume enough energy to support muscle growth. The fourth and final variable for a successful body recomposition is to have good recovery practices, specifically related to sleep and stress management. Research shows sleeping 5 hours per night instead of 7.5 hours promotes muscle loss. Also, for every night of sleep restriction, other research shows your strength performance tends to decrease by 2 to 3%. Not to mention that high psychological stress delays muscle recovery, as supported by research from the University of Texas. We can train hard, eat good protein, and control calories, but if you're chronically stressed and sleep restricted, your progress will be negatively impacted. So next to having a great training and nutrition strategy, let's also consider lifestyle. I know that life is not always sunshine and rainbows.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
So managing stress and sleep can be easier said than done at times. But that does not take away from the fact that taking good care of your sleeping habits and mental health is one of our most important responsibilities. So take that into consideration and also be patient with the process. Give yourself at least 3 months with this body recomposition approach to start seeing tangible results. Now that we have discussed how you can use a body recomposition phase to fix being skinny fat, let's look into when cutting and bulking cycles can be useful. Specifically, for late intermediate and advanced trainees, it becomes hard to build muscle while losing fat at the same time. If you have more than 2 years of training experience under your belt, then having a more focused approach is beneficial. But generally, at this point you will also have more muscle mass, so you will no longer be skinny fat. If you want to get leaner as an intermediate or advanced trainee, you simply cut down. You may not be able to build muscle in this process, but that's okay since you already have a good foundation of muscle. And when you want to build more muscle, you simply transition into a lean bulk phase in which you maintain a 10% calorie surplus. Research shows this calorie surplus speeds up muscle growth progress. You will not lose fat in this lean bulking process, but that's okay because if you have been training for over 2 years, you will likely have a body fat percentage that's below 15%, which is a good starting point for a lean bulk. Also, to mention another exception, in the case of someone being overweight or obese, going on a more focused cutting phase will be the desired approach. Essentially, I want to make clear that I'm not saying that cutting and bulking is completely useless. There are scenarios in which it is desired. But if you consider yourself to be skinny fat and are a beginner trainee, a body recomposition phase is the way to go. If you are interested in getting my full guidance in your fitness journey and want me to set up a body recomposition phase for you, you can apply to my one-on-one online coaching service. I will personally design your training and nutrition while holding you accountable to make sure you are on track with your goals. And that was all for today's video. I hope you now have a clear answer on when you should bulk or cut and why a body recomposition phase is actually useful for many people. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Also, if you found this video helpful, then leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next one.